What's going on, ladies and gents without sense? This is Flynn of Daxter 5150, and we're back playing ATV Offroad Fury 2 for the PS2, but not on a PS3 this time because my capture card won't capture the PlayStation 3 anymore and my controllers are broken. Yeah, this time we're going to be doing the Amateur Supercross. The first track of this is going to be Greenfield. Get into that later, but right now let's just pick our damn bike. We're gonna go with the usual sports tracks because, I mean, just look at it. It's fucking sexy as hell. I'm just gonna set the settings and everything. Don't mind me. And let's get started. So anyway, yep, this is Greenfield. It's a very, very simple supercross track set in a fancy-looking football stadium. Not really much else to go about here other than the rhythm sections are very simplistic. You also got a couple of jumps here and there, but they're very, very small jumps. They're just like large enough for you to do a single stunt on, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Just so long as you get the cornering down right, you know, and maintain speed, and the rhythm sections, and the whoop sections, and all that, you're pretty much golden for Greenfield. What I usually like to do with the whoop sections is I like to preload off of one of the little jumps, and like skip a portion of it. So yeah, that was Greenfield, and now we are off to Amherst, which is also pretty simplistic, but it's also very, very appropriately paced, too. The only thing I don't like about Amherst is that it's set in a generic-ass baseball oh wait, no, this isn't a baseball field. This is like a more generic-looking football field. Man, I'm getting my arenas mixed up. There's like 5 different arena presets in this game, and I'm getting them all mixed up. Yeah. You can obviously see that there's a little more variation in terms of track design in Amherst, like the S jumps that you've just seen. There's also a number of smaller jumps that also throw you off guard when you're trying to get into the corner. And yeah, that was Amherst. Pretty simplistic, but get the hang of it later on. And now we are going to Sausalito, which is, now we're in the freaking baseball stadium. And honestly, it does kind of look better than the Amherst. But as you can see here, I choke a little on this section, so I'm just going to do that again. This time I'm going to show you me not choking on that section. What I usually do is I stick to the inside line if I can actually manage to get the jump right, but for that part I just decided to stick to the outside because I honestly couldn't trust myself the last time I screwed that up. But yeah, it's what you usually expect, but this time you also see the lights on the jumps, like, you know, telling you if it's safe to preload or if there's somebody already at the end of the jump telling you not to preload and all that. I'm not sure what those lights are called. But yeah, the track design here is a lot sharper than the last couple of Supercross tracks. But yeah. In this section, I get freaking Goomba stomped. Yeah, that's what I'm calling it. When another racer lands on top of another racer. That's called Goomba stomping. But, yeah, that was Sausalito. A little more sophisticated than the last couple of Supercross tracks. And now we're here in Concord. Which, despite using the generic football stadium from Amherst, is actually a little bit more unique this time because it's raining outside and there's a tunnel section. which we'll get to in a little bit. And this is the part of the game where you notice the Supercross design starts getting a little more complicated. Like, as you could clearly see, there's more emphasis on hairpin turns, and there's a lot less space between jumps, too. The only saving grace is in the tunnel section. There's just a whoop section, so you don't really have to do that much jumping there. And you don't have to, like, run the risk of bumping your head or any of that. Provided you're fast enough along these jumps, it should basically be no problem. You can pretty much get through this without, you know, coming through any issues. But this track is a little more sophisticated than the previous Supercross tracks. So, yeah. Next up is Lafayette, which is by far my favorite of the amateur Supercross tracks. Mostly because it's set at nighttime, and because it is just a lot of fun to race on. Like, you can obviously see me skipping the giant whoop section, you know, me landing those jumps perfectly. It's just a really, really good track. It's appropriately paced, there's enough challenge, and, you know, it's just really, really good. I love racing here. And not to mention, there's a lot of really, really fast straightaways too. So like, you could go really, really fast along here, and yeah, I do kind of mess up a little on that corner. But here's me taking it without any issue whatsoever on the second lap of all things. And yeah, there's not really that much else to talk about. Just the usual hairpin turns, the usual whoop sections, the usual rhythm sections. But overall, this is a really, really fun track. And next up is Providence, which does actually kind of look like Greenfield, except it isn't. It has a different skybox, and let's just say that the start of the race is pretty awkward. Like, it puts you on the last few corners and starts you off in the last jumps and all that. I don't know why they would do that. I mean, there's not really any point of doing this, but, I mean, whatever. What a way to start the race. You basically spend about 30 seconds just getting through that whole section, so that means the first lap of the race is going to be approximately a half a minute long. But, yeah, there's not really that much else to talk about on this track. I mean, besides the 3 or so, actually no, 4 hairpin turns, the couple of whoop sections, and the few small and big jumps, there's not really that much going for this track, honestly. I mean, aside from the different skybox with the usual Greenfield Stadium, that's what I'm going to call it. It really isn't all that unique whatsoever. There's not really that much else to talk about. I just realized that the cauldrons are actually on fire. Like, wow, I had no idea that was even a thing here in this track. Because when I played through Greenfield and Washington, the cauldrons are not on fire, as you can clearly see. Which brings us to Washington, aka the Greenfield reskin, because it has the same skybox, similar track layout, similar dirt, and yeah. This is by far my least favorite of the Supercross tracks, because it's just pretty much the same shit. I mean, why would they even give it the name Washington if it's just going to look the same as Greenfield? They may as well just call it Greenfield 2. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, as you can clearly tell, I make my bike a little faster here because I was taking the jumps in the last couple of races like ass. So I figured if I sped up my bike, you know, I'd probably be able to take the jumps a little better and still not affect my bike's performance. Maybe I should stick with the setting for the future races from now on because, I mean, you already know what the deal is. Yeah, so that was Washington. Nothing to talk about in this track. It's my least favorite. I don't enjoy racing here because it's so damn samey. At least Fairbanks actually brings us to a different venue for once. They bring us to an indoor football stadium now with the roof open because, I mean, it's daytime. Why wouldn't they not have the roof open? But, yeah, this is Fairbanks. This is the only amateur supercross track that is featured here in this indoor football stadium. And, it's pretty well paced for an amateur supercross track. It is a little complicated, but, I mean, it is the last course in the amateur supercross, so of course it's going to have a lot more challenge than the other courses. And yeah, and as you can clearly see, I just completed a lap, but there's still a lot more ground to cover in this track, such as this very, very slow whoop section and this underground section. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it regarding Fairbanks. And that'll do it for the amateur supercross tracks. My name is Flynn. Thank you for watching.